phrase "oldest trick in the book" can have lots of meanings, and there's been plenty of chatter about the NBA recently saying teams are losing their individuality by jacking up a ton of threes and running the same stuff. Gone are the days where each team had their own unique style of offense, and the risk of fans losing interest is real. While it may be true that NBA teams are becoming more and more homogenous, that could be a good thing, since the one play everyone is running is so clever, and it dates back to the beginning of basketball. The handoff has always been a staple of offenses, and it works even better than a pick and roll because making a pass back away from the basket is a safe way to complete it, and I'd argue it simulates a pick and roll but is even harder to guard because the receiver is going much faster when they catch the ball. Since dribbling skills hadn't evolved back then, giving the offensive player a running start made a lot of sense to enable the offense to gain the advantage. There's been an absolute resurgence of the handoff this season, and there are so many ways to execute it that teams can have a hard time preparing for it defensively. First up is get action, a great way to catch your defender off guard since you pass the ball and then quickly cut in that same direction looking for the pass back. Watch how Jamal Murray uses the change of pace after throwing the ball to gain a step on his defender before approaching full speed for the reception. Now he's got Zubats backing up and can get into his floater game. It's important to pay attention to the angle of the get action. When throwing the ball out in front of you, the pressure on the defense increases because Clarkson is moving downhill when he catches it. The guy handing off rolls and collapses the defense, so a layup is a very common result. Now check how you can initiate this from the wing, with the big lower than the passer to allow that downhill opportunity for Jamal Sheed to explode down the lane line for a nice floater. But it doesn't have to be a drive when they get the downhill angle on the get action, as Sabonis rubs the defender off Keegan Murray just like a pick and roll, but without having to deal with dribbling at first, making this a wide open catch and shoot three-pointer from the top of the key. Now watch how Detroit initiates this with a pass towards the half court, oftentimes a safer way to complete it since big men defenders tend to sink into the lane. While Jaden Ivey is going away from the basket to receive the pass, I love how he lifts both feet in the air on the catch so that he can land and explode with ground reaction forces right back into the lane for the bank shot runner. Chris Paul uses the same angle from the wing to Jeremy Sohan and will freeze his defender with a hesitation, giving him more options off the catch than he'd have if this were a pick and roll, opening up a path right to the hoop for an easy shot. The Warriors use this more than almost anybody else, but since they have such incredible shooters, they can throw this from the top to the wing and then follow it back looking for threes. Going to your right is so much harder for a righty, but Buddy makes it look easy. Not to be outdone, Steph does the same thing in the same direction while sprinting across the whole floor. Looney acts as a screen, and that's all the space Steph needs to let it fly. The pure triangle offense has a built-in play called pinch post, where you pass it to the elbow and follow it for the handoff, and it's alive and well across the league as the receiver has got a great angle going downhill and only a few steps from the basket when receiving the ball. It doesn't have to be run at the elbow either, as TJ McConnell can get a guard quickie with a full head of steam on the catch and beat the big with the inside hand layup. One key is to have weak side action to occupy the help defense, and here are the Trailblazers running a hammer screen for potential skip to a wide open corner three, but Scoot has the advantage and the layup. This is even more pure triangle as the pinch post receiver can keep the ball, then dribble along the free throw line into another handoff where Cade can abuse Tatum on his way to the basket. This is an automatic whenever the receiver keeps the ball, as Scotty Barnes continues through to set a screen in the corner while Bruno Fernando dribbles towards the weak side, trapping Garrett Temple's man underneath and opening up the easy three. I hope it's becoming clearer why the handoff is such a great weapon, since it's a play you can run anytime, from anywhere, and it almost guarantees you a great shot, the same way SeatGeek can find you the best value on tickets for any concert, sporting event, or the theater. Just check for the green dots. They let you know the price is a great value. It's the easiest app I've ever used to get tickets, and I've got the hookup. With my code BBALL10, you'll get 10% off of every purchase you make. So act now, since this offer may not last long. Hit my link, don't worry about being called a geek, that's cool these days, and enjoy all your favorite concerts and sporting events. Save 10% with my code BBALL10, and that way you can see in person how much flow you can get out of a simple pinch post action. On the keep, The guard should set a split screen in the corner. If the cutter rejects the screen, here comes Temple back around for the handoff, where he can use the advantage created to get into the lane for the little jumper. Here's the same action from the Pistons, but Jaden Ivey breaks off his corner screen to come right back around for the handoff. He takes it off the face before blowing past Miles Turner for the layup. I like how the Nuggets use the same idea with Jokic keeping the ball and add a screener for Aaron Gordon coming for the handoff. However, they cleverly flip it so the better shooter can come off that handoff into an open three, and the defense never knew what hit him. Anthony Edwards is feasting on handoffs. Here they do it at the wing and then run pinch post so they can get Ant an advantage sprinting out of the corner. He instantly catches both defenders out of position before hitting his patented midi bank shot. And then they run a quick handoff into ball screen as misdirection for the pinch post action. DiVincenzo's screen eliminates Ant's man, and Randall's handoff is a second screen that gets him enough space to rise up for the three. My favorite version that teams are running out of pinch post utilizes another triangle concept, blind pig. Instead of following the pass back for a downhill drive, the passer uses a flare screen away from the ball. They then cut the weak side corner up to the mid post and slide that initial passer behind him for the handoff to find a shot. Here it is with the Jazz, as Markkanen will garner a ton of attention this close to the basket. By the time the Warriors figure it out, Keontae George is already lighting them up from downtown. The Lakers are running this too, and if they can't get a shot immediately, the two-man game has served them very well as Reeves and AD hook up to generate an open layup. I also love handoffs from the low post as the Raptors hit Pirtle near the block, then screen away for the shooter as Grady Dick gets a good look on the handoff from behind the arc. Another great thing about get action is that it can act as an escape valve for a player that has gotten into a bind by picking up his dribble under heavy duress from the defender. Here, Luka realizes Tyus Jones is going to have a great contest of his shot, so he turns it into a pinch post action and scoops in the layup. Harden doesn't feel good about pulling up for a possibly contested 13-footer, so he finds Zubac as an outlet before flipping it back into a ball screen for an even better shot. Here's Jalen Brunson getting stuck without a dribble and pivoting under heavy pressure. It's easy for Sims to pop out for the catch, and now Brunson is attacking at full speed while Hauser is rubbed out of the play, and Brunson gets into his foul drawing bag plus the bucket. Corey Kispert struggles with his handle under serious pressure from Dyson Daniels. Forced to pick the ball up near half court, he gets a release foul from Valanciunas and turns it right into a handoff and easy drive for the lay-in. But by far, the most common way teams are getting handoffs is from zoom action, where the player in the corner gets a pin down and then a handoff, usually attacking in the middle of the floor with their dominant right hand. If they run it for a righty on the other side, it makes it easier to just pull up for the three because the right hip and elbow are already aligned with the basket, especially if they catch the defender going underneath the handoff. And this isn't an action you only run for role players to help them out. The Mavericks get Luka coming off the pin down, then hand off for a double screen, and he can take advantage of the switch with his patented step back three ball. But let's not leave Kyrie out of the discussion, and using Klay as a first screener is a great idea. His man won't want to switch, so Kyrie gets a few steps head start to get into his step back bag to retake the lead against the Spurs. Zoom is also often the go-to action once the initial action is contained on one side and the ball reverses to the other side. The confusion caused by having three players coming together on a quick moving action yields some of the best shots you'll see in any half-court set. This Jazz possession starts with a handoff into flare action, but when that doesn't yield a shot, it flows directly into a pass out top, and now the defense is being collapsed into the paint as JC gets right to the cup for a finger roll over Looney. The cutter out of the corner doesn't have to get the ball for this action to work. After Brown cuts around Jokic and he keeps it, it just smoothly flows into a handoff to Gordon for the wide open three. Same idea here with the Heat as Rozier looks to pin down for Hero who doesn't want it. So Rozier cuts for the handoff, the offense doesn't miss a beat, and it generates a nice off-foot floater off glass. You can also get this action across the top of the floor as the Clippers pick and pop Zubac and then screen away for Powell, who gets even more space to sprint before the catch. Beal cannot keep up and Powell gets an open midi. Watch how the Hawks add a Spain pick and roll feel to this when they back screen Capella's man, but no need since Daniels hits the hezzy before going off glass. Teams have been trying to disguise the zoom action with some fun initiations that deal with high post entries. They curl Jalen Green around the Şengün pin down, only to have him break back off the Van Vliet pin away into the downhill handoff. Tough to stop this, great defense, even better offense. The Clippers have Derrick Jones Jr. run get action with Zubac, who keeps it, only to flow right back into the pistol across the top for Harden going to his stronger left hand. Harden's man is stuck under the rolling Zubac, which generates the wide open midi. The Clippers again run pinch post off of Zubac, but flip it into zoom for Norman Powell. Notice how open Zubac is on his roll, but no matter, that's an easy free throw line jumper. And here are the Spurs initiating with a high post entry, and Harrison Barnes has the option of zooming himself, but if he curls, they'll run zoom the other way, catching Maxi Kleber unaware and giving Keldon Johnson just enough room to teardrop this in over Lively. And last but not least, why not run this out of a baseline out of bounds play? The Cavs screen the inbounder right into the handoff, and Ty Jerome can force the big to retreat before pulling for an easy free throw line jumper. Before you start echoing all the critics that think everyone is running the same plays and getting the same shots, pay closer attention to all the little wrinkles that teams are running with handoffs. The variety here is endless. I barely scratched the surface with what's been going on, and I guarantee the sheer volume of these plays will continue to increase as the season goes on and these teams realize how devastating this action is to the defense.